people on the earth who have such a small view of God that they don't see any need to fear him. And then you've got millions of people who claim to be Christians or followers of Jesus Christ, and yet their lives look nothing like his, and they don't seem to be concerned about it. But maybe the biggest concern with the church today is this apparent lack of the Holy Spirit's power. I mean, when you read the New Testament, you see that the Holy Spirit was supposed to change everything so that this gathering of people who called themselves Christians had this supernatural element about them, the supernatural power about them. But nowadays, can you really tell the difference? I mean, by the actions of a person who calls himself a Christian versus the actions of someone who denies the existence of Jesus. And do you really see the supernatural power at work when the believers gather together for what we call church? When Jesus was on the earth, he was getting ready to die. He was getting ready to leave, and he gathers his disciples together, and they're kind of freaking out about this because they're going, wait, Jesus, you're going to leave the earth? And Jesus says, don't worry, because I'm going to send someone else. In fact, this is going to be to your advantage. It's better than having me on the earth. Imagine hearing those words. If you're one of the disciples, you're thinking, what could be better than having the Son of God next to me? I mean, I've seen this guy raise a person from the dead. I've seen him give sight to the blind. I've been walking hand in hand with the creator of the universe, and now you're going to tell me something better? Jesus says, no, this will be better. And in fact, after Jesus dies, he rises from the grave and he gathers the disciples together again. And now the disciples are just in awe. And Jesus says, now wait here. Wait here. I'm going to heaven, but don't worry. Just wait here because the Holy Spirit is going to come upon you. Don't go out and try to change the world on your own. You're going to mess everything up. Stay here and wait, and you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and then you'll be my witnesses to the rest of the world. So they're in this room, and they're praying, and they're going, okay, when's he going to come? When's he going to come? For days and days and days, they're praying, waiting for the Holy Spirit. And then suddenly one day, it says that there was this sound like a rushing wind, so like this hurricane type of sound coming into the room. And then suddenly fire starts coming down from heaven, and it's landing on each of their heads, and you're going, okay, this is it. Then pretty soon everyone in the room starts speaking these different languages. And when they walk outside and they're speaking these different languages, during that time there were tons of people from these other nations, and they're listening to them going, wait a second, I understand that guy. And someone else is going, wait, I understand him. And they're all hearing them in their own languages. It was an absolute miracle. And then all these things start happening, right? People start getting healed, and this group of people start bonding, and they really just have this supernatural love for one another. It was an amazing, amazing time. And people were drawn. They were drawn to these gatherings because they're saying, what is going on here? I've known that guy my whole life. He's been crippled his whole life, and now he's walking. These guys are doing these supernatural things, and that's what attracted people to these believers. This is what attracted people to church. Now jump forward a couple thousand years. Now you go to a building, someone gives you a bulletin, you sit in a chair, you sing a few songs, a guy delivers maybe a polished message, maybe not. Someone sings a solo, you go home. Isn't it the same Holy Spirit that's supposed to be available to us today? Why is it so different? I heard one person say the church nowadays is neither super nor natural. everything's very predictable and everything is expected. You plan, and there's a truth to that. I mean, I feel bad about it, but being around the church culture and even leading a gathering of believers, I've gotten pretty good at predicting what's going to happen in a church service. I can tell you, you know what, hey, this message is going to be a pretty good one. I think most people like it, or actually some people are going to have a problem with this. I'm going to get a lot of emails, the band's going to sing this song, and at the end, they get it all ramped up, and the guitar makes this sound, and everyone's going to just start, just clapping, applauding right here, or I'll go, oh gosh, she's singing this solo today. I don't think it's gonna be that great. It's everything so predictable. Was that the way it was supposed to happen when Jesus says, no, there's a power. There's gonna be a supernatural power, and you are gonna receive this supernatural power. And it was happening. It was happening. It was seen. It was noticed. In fact, they would say that people were astonished by the boldness of Peter and John. People were astonished by this courage that those early believers had. When Jesus said this power would come upon you, it really did come upon them, and they were powerful beings. Why is it that in the church so many people are weak or defeated, or we get so insecure because we look at ourselves rather than God? It doesn't make sense. There's this guy in our church. He's really strong. I mean, really strong. Like, he's the strongest guy on earth. Literally, like ESPN did a thing on him where he's the strongest man on earth. He bench presses over 1,000 pounds. I mean, this guy is just thick. And I remember when we baptized him, the guys had to turn him sideways, and it's just, he's huge. But what's crazier is his wife. His wife bench presses over 400 pounds. Okay, so imagine this couple. Okay, what if you saw this couple, and I don't even know what their kids look like, but could you imagine what their kids are like? I mean, wouldn't it be weird if their kids were all scrawny and like, hi? It would be like, are you kidding me? Your dad benches 1,000, your mom benches 400, and you're all scrawny. And man, I feel like that's what happens in the church. We believe in this almighty and just intense being, all powerful. And then he puts this spirit of power in us, and our response is, hi, welcome to church. Here's your bulletin. We'll get you out in an hour. Come back next week. I mean, really? Is that all God intended for us? And listen, I get insecure if I look at myself. If I think, I have to move these people. I got to try to change these people's lives. And I get scared. I look at the world, and people are so anti-God and so anti the morals he's called us to, that sometimes I think to myself, okay, how am I going to change the mindset of all of these people? But that's the point. God says, you don't have to do that. That's why I'm sending my Holy Spirit. He's going to convict the world. When he comes, he's going to convict the world of their sin. People are going to know that there's going to be a judgment. It's about his power. See, Jesus told his disciples, he goes, I am going to build my church, and the gates of hell aren't going to stop this thing. Even when you gather together in your families, is it predictable? I mean, or aren't family reunions those things where you never know what's going to happen? I mean, I'm guessing it's not, I know what's going to happen. Uncle Bob gets up, he gives a 30-minute speech, and Aunt Sally's going to sing this song, and then Cousin Joe's going to pray in prayer, and then we dismiss and we end family. No, you just gather together, and there's this dynamic, and there's this, we don't know what's going to happen next. See, there was this sense in which the church was supposed to be like that. It was supposed to be just a bunch of people coming together, but there was going to be a supernatural element to it, where God himself would create a unity amidst them. They would be so tight, they would be so bonded together that the world would look and go, wow, how do they all join together like that? Because typically a bunch of people can't get in a room and get along. But there would be this harmony. Why? Because they were all following the same Spirit. See, that's what the Holy Spirit wants to create within our gatherings. It's supernatural. It's something that was just happening. It was almost happening to them as they followed him. It's like, when you surf, you don't make a wave. You don't get everyone together and go, hey, let's spot. You don't know when the wave's coming. It just happens. It moves. And once you're on it, it's got a power of its own. You don't manipulate it. You just go along for the ride, and you multiply that 1,000 times. And that's what you see in the book of Acts. It's like this wave of God's power, and everyone's just jumping on. And we're just going, what is going on here? This is so powerful. This is so amazing. And it's what the Holy Spirit is doing. See, this is what God wants today. It wasn't for 2,000 years ago only. It's for right now. The Holy Spirit wants to lead us. He wants to lead us into something deeper. But do you believe it? I mean, honestly, do you even think it's possible today? Do you really believe the same Holy Spirit exists today and wants to do that in your life, wants to do it in my life, and he wants to create this gathering today, a gathering where he works so powerfully that we would actually experience that power and recognize there's a powerful God up there, and we would just naturally fear him. Doesn't your soul long for this gathering of people where the Holy Spirit leads us into the ways of Jesus, and as we follow the ways of Jesus, we find new life and a new excitement to our existence? And don't you want it? Does everything in you scream wanting to be a part of something supernatural? That you know the Holy Spirit is leading, and he creates this unity amidst this body of followers of Jesus. I think it's what we all want, but we've got to believe, and we've got to live like we believe it. We need to pray like we believe it. I mean, what would the church look like today if we really stopped taking control of it and let the Holy Spirit lead? I believe this is what we all want. And I believe this is exactly what the world needs to see.